There's one of the hose holders from last week. And the next project is the casing on the garage door. And then probably a new seal too, but I'm gonna focus on this first. The plan is to measure up maybe 8 inches from the brick, cut that off as straight as I can, and then replace it with AZEK. I've measured 8 inches up from the brick, and I'm going to attach this jig to the existing molding. It's going to be getting cut away, so it doesn't matter if there's screw holes in it. I'll just make sure it's level. I put a longer blade on the multi-tool so I can cut through, and then I'll be able to use this piece of molding as a pattern. I just didn't want to break this. I was able to put the molding back together to help me create a pattern. So I'll make these same pieces out of AZEK, and I'm going to make each piece about a 1/4 inch thicker than the existing molding, so it looks like a foot at the bottom of the casing. The existing molding is made of 3 pieces, and for the main centerpiece here, I'm using a piece of 5/4 AZEK, which measures a true 1 inch, and this centerpiece here measures 3/4 of an inch. I'll rip this at 4.5 inches. In case you were wondering, AZEK is a PVC material that's commonly used for exterior trim work in home construction. Since it's basically plastic, it won't rot, and that makes it a great choice for this project. This piece here measures 2 3/4 by 5/8. And when I make the molding, I'll add a 1/4 inch in each direction. For this piece of molding, again, I'll need to add a 1/4 inch in both directions. I don't have a piece of AZEK thick enough to do that, so I'm going to laminate together this piece of 5/4 with this 1/2 inch using contact cement. And I'll cut the pieces a little bit heavy first so I can then trim them to size. If you haven't used contact cement before, you need to know that you apply the contact cement to both pieces of material. And once it's dry to touch, then it bonds together. So I'll let this dry for probably 10 minutes because it's pretty warm out. And then just put them together. While the contact cement is drying, I want to remind you of the professional woodworking project plans that are available on my website. The plans, along with my step-by-step video tutorials right here on YouTube, will help guide you through the project and help you make something that you'll really be proud of. Everything from furniture for your home, like maybe the sofa table bookcase or the cherry entrance table, to great outdoor projects like the garden bench or maybe the planters that I made this spring. So I hope that you'll visit my website by clicking the link in the description below or visiting johnpeters.com and let me help you with your next woodworking project. It's been a few minutes and the contact cement is now dry to touch. And I'll just carefully put it together. That's pretty good. And to get a good bond, I'm just going to use a block of wood. So that's good now. Now we can go trim it to size and put a 5-degree angle on one edge here to make the molding. I've changed the angle of the blade to 5 degrees to cut a detail on the molding. You see how this will work to make kind of a foot at the bottom of the molding, and I'll soften this angle up here with the hand plane.
I'm using a shim when I attach the first board. Because you're building off the first board, it's really important that that first board is nice and straight. Now, I did post about this on Instagram, and I had some good questions and some silly comments, and I'm going to try to respond to both at the end of the video.
Pretty good.
Okay, well, I'm real happy with the way that turned out, and more importantly, so is my wife. And I did get a few good questions because I posted about it on Instagram, and a few silly comments, but let's just talk about the good questions first. And one is, what is AZEK? AZEK is basically plastic. It's a PVC material, and it's often used for exterior trim work because it won't rot, because it's plastic. You can paint it, but you need to use an acrylic latex paint, and you want to avoid painting it dark colors because it does move a lot. It expands and contracts a lot, and if you paint it a dark color, it's going to expand and contract more, and that will ruin your paint job. It will not degrade over time. I did get a few or question about that, so it's perfect in the situation where I used it, where the bottom is against the brick, because it's not going to wick up any moisture. I did seal the wood trim where it meets with a primer, and then I caulked the seam. So I think it's a really good material for what I used it for in this situation. It is very expensive, and I'm using just scraps that I've had hanging around the shop. Now, I did get what I would say kind of it's kind of a good question, but not the way it was commented, which was like, why don't you just rip it all out? Well, lumber's really expensive today, and I was able to make this repair with scraps that I had hanging around the shop, and it didn't take me that much time, and I didn't have my garage out of commission for you know, days and days. So I think that that was a good solution. Now, another comment was, and this goes into the category of maybe a good question and a silly comment, depending on how it's asked. If you say, why is the molding thicker? Well, that's a good question. It's known as a plinth. That's an architectural element. And if you're running baseboard and you've got a wider board at the bottom, a plinth or decorative foot, You can run your baseboard into that foot and then run your shoe molding into that foot, and that's a nice way to dead end your molding. And it's a nice looking architectural element. If you say it in a comment of kind of like, what are you doing? You're making the molding too thick. Well, then you just don't understand what I'm doing. There's a reason for it. So the last silly comment I will talk about is all the comments where people would say, what's wrong? You can't cut a straight line? And that's just a silly comment, because I don't think anybody can cut a straight line as good as you can with a jig. So why not take the extra time, make the jig, and do it right, because it will save you time in the long run. So that's it. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the, sort of the method to the madness, or the method to some of the reasons why I do things, because everything has a reason, especially when you're working on an old house. So hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that it helped you out and will help you with a repair on your home. Now, of course, your garage isn't going to be exactly like mine, so it's not going to be the same exact repair, but you may be able to use some elements for the project you're working on. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.